For professional jobs who wish to stay and work in South Africa has risen. In the first quarter, the PPS Student Confidence Index showed that 58% of students said they plan to stay in the country after graduating. That compares with 45% in the previous quarter. Students surveyed included those reading engineering, medicine, law and accounting, among others. I'm joined by Motshabi Nomvethe. She's a product specialist at insurance firm PPS. Thanks very much for joining us, Motshabi.
Thank you, Nico.
Now, just briefly outline how you came to this result. What methodology do you use?
Okay, Nombu, what PPS does is we in contact with all the major universities in South Africa, and we would have students that are members with PPS who are then, we make this survey open to them. So any student in their fourth year or higher of study is able to partake in the survey, and we look at university students as well as fourth year University of Technology students.
Now, despite subdued economic growth in the country and high youth unemployment, even among graduates themselves, it's interesting that the survey ticked up. What do you think informed this?
That was actually quite surprising because, as you said earlier, that last year was sitting at about 45% of graduates who said that they would consider staying in South Africa. But what we have also picked up is that a lot of people that had initially left South Africa before are coming back. So there is a positive sentiment in South Africa, despite all the problems or challenges we believe we have. People are aware that there is an opportunity here. We are a growing economy, and that it can only be a positive. Whereas if you look at a lot of other economies, they are shrinking, and that probably is a huge concern for anybody who is in the job market.
I think the survey, to my mind, makes a lot of assumptions. If you look at sort of a typical South African family, even if you wanted to work abroad, issues around work permits, financial mobility and so on would probably hinder you. Presumably, it's much easier to try and look for a job abroad if you have some work experience.
It is, but at the same time, remember, we did go through a phase where a lot of people were leaving the country in the numbers, and that almost became fashionable. Over and above, yes, seeking alternative experience or different experience and international experience, more importantly. It had become very fashionable for people to say, I'm going to go live in the UK or US, wherever, because it's just better out there. But like I said, with the number of people that are actually coming back and telling a different story, some have gained valuable experience, and we are grateful for that. But it's also not as comfortable or as green as people make it out to be. So I think as more people talk about the experiences abroad, they realize that, you know what, let me rather try and make it work here at home.
Now, when you surveyed students, you covered a number of issues. What did they say was more important for them when they finished their studies? To secure a job that pertains to their qualification or getting a well-paid job?
Most they are looking for, at least to start off with, a job that is suited to their qualifications. And I can understand where that comes from, because we all go to school because we want to be something. I'm going to do psychology because I want to be a psychologist, or ideally. But then obviously life happens, challenges come, opportunities are also very different. So what we see as well is that those students are studying in a particular field of study. They might not necessarily end up in that field. And we find that people are more willing now to try other fields. And not just restrict themselves to what they have studied for. And obviously that is attributable to the fact that unemployment is so high that your choices are limited and people are now taking what comes their way.
Now, historically, South Africans have had a problem with saving. We know that household savings are basically zero in South Africa. What are students saying about their plans to save when they finish graduating and actually get jobs?
The encouraging news is that students are now aware that they need to save. And I would say that probably comes from looking at their parents, where they see that their parents probably spend all their money, all their life savings, taking them through school. But now the burden will be on them or somebody who starts work now to look after their parents. So they are now learning from them to say, you know what, that is not very sustainable. We call people who have children, have to look after their own kids and have to look after their parents as the sandwich generation. And they're stuck in the middle somewhere. They have to look after mom and dad. They've got their own kids, have to take them through school. So that is, I think it's changing the mindset of students to say, you know what, as soon as, what can I do differently? I have better opportunities now than my parents did. I need to do something differently to be able to sustain myself so that I don't have to look at my kids to look after me in my retirement.
But it's interesting because, like you said, life does happen. And if your first job, you're earning 10,000, 12,000 Rand, you want to be independent, you want to live from home and, pay rent and buy a car and all this and all that. How then do you ensure that people understand that they need to start saving from the get-go?
I think information is out there. There's so many calculators, retirement calculators, savings calculators, whatever calculator you want to take that says if you did not save 15% from your first salary, there is not a chance that you're going to live well in retirement. It is that simple. And I think people are starting to understand that message, they're starting to believe that message. So it is a discipline thing. Often people, when they do their budgeting, they put savings right at the end of the column, right at the end of everything. Also, I've bought my clothes and I've been out with my friends and I've done all those things. Then maybe I'll start saving. And we're saying you need to change your mindset. You need to put savings first. So when my salary comes in on the 25th, the first thing that goes up must be my savings. Thereafter, I'll say, how much money now do I have for the car, for the house, for entertainment and everything else? That has to happen because research upon research has shown that if you do not do that from the word go, and if you get used to living on a set amount, then it's easier for you to adjust your life accordingly. But if you put your expenses so high, you're just going to be constantly chasing your tail.
Thanks very much for your time, Motshabi. There you go. Young people, save from the minute you get a job so that you can secure your financial future. That was Motshabi Nomvethe from insurance firm PPS.